Hello, everyone. Welcome to the HPE Developer Community Workshop on Demand, and specifically for Grommet 101, streamlining your app development with open source Grommet. I'm Sulaymon Tajudeen, and I currently work as experienced design engineer at Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, and primarily focusing on analytics and especially also on the user experience and working on the Grommet as part of the design system team member. So let's just go straight away to the workshop. Yeah. So this workshop will be about Grommet and its ecosystem and what we offer. And now you can quickly start your so-called weekend project if you like, right? So Grommet is actually a very, I would say, powerful UI toolkit that is essentially built on top of React, which is actually accessible, responsive, and also mobile first. You have different tools and documentation and support that you can use. For example, we have different components, Grommet component. We have a storybook whereby you can actually just like quickly see how each component work and test them out. And also the code sandbox, Grommet code sandbox, different examples that people have already done using Grommet. And of course, also the HPE design system that actually, I would say, try to emphasize our principles and design decisions while we're building Grommet UI Toolkit. So generally, the lab goals is for you to understand what Grommet is all about, why we use it, what are the advantages, and now it can also help your development as fast as possible. And also, we're going to be creating a portfolio, like an example application using Grommet Designer. Then we're able to generate source code from this Grommet Designer that is actually using Grommet component behind the scene. And after that, we can push our code to GitHub and eventually deploy it on Netlify. And this is just a sample, like a final thing we're going to be building. And of course, the lab flow, in case you're not so familiar with Jupyter Notebook, and we'll be working directly on this and the different controls and systems that is available, the play button, the control shift and everything. So that's there for you to just look through. So let's go right in lab 1. So Grommet, as I said, is an open source React component UI toolkit that Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, out of generosity and contributing to the community, make completely open source, so anybody can use it. It's not just like it's not only for us. If you also have like a project you want to quickly, get started and have some sort of like enterprise level advantages, then you can already quickly tap into Grommet. We also emphasize a lot about accessibility, responsiveness, and mobile first UI toolkits. So Grommet gives you consistent, responsive, and thoroughly designed user interface that can be used across different business enterprise applications. So let's quickly see some examples of some Grommet components. Here we have a layout, just quickly mock up your entire, like scaffold your entire layout, like boxes, like which is just like a basic, flex box, if you think like that. A card component, footer component, like for example, some page element, like a page title, page header, and page body element, a component, sidebar stack, and so on. And the Grommet Storybook is there for you to, as a developer, essentially to quickly just see what props are available on each component and how in different situations and different contexts, things can be like, customized to your own taste. So you have the link there, you can just look at it and just get up to speed with Grommet component. As I said earlier, the code sandbox is there for you to have some reference example, just for you to quickly start up and get to speed. And in terms of the ecosystem, who is actually using Grommet? I mean, of course, HP itself, we are using it in our products to show that we consume what we make, and that's also a sign that at least it's very good product. Netflix, Uber, and these kind of really big, good companies. And also like As a developer, you always want to see what is happening there in case you run into some problems. You have dedicated Slack channels where you can easily just write, your message there, and definitely people will support you. And then in terms of GitHub, I mean, you have almost over 1 million downloads from 2019, and it just keeps increasing. Till date is about 1.45 million downloads from the NPM registry. And of course, over 8,000 GitHub stars and a lot of contributors, almost 350 contributors. And to quickly just, get started, in case you're not so familiar with the basics of coding and development in general, you can just, get to speed with something like GitHub 101, Git 101 workshop, which is also provided as part of the this kind of workshop. And also some really good blogs and articles just to get you started. So let's quickly get to business as usual. So as I said, we'll be using what we call Grommet Designer. That's our main UI development toolkit here. And what is Grommet Designer? It's just there to help you, for example, if you just want to try it out, or you're not so familiar, for example, with coding, and you're not so familiar with React, you can just quickly use this kind of, I would say, visual, like a developer tool or visual development tool. And that's what we'll be using primarily here. So let's quickly get to speed. This is the final product we'll be building, definitely. And then, yeah. So let me quickly take you through a new tab. Yeah, maybe I would just say Control T, maybe Command T for a new tab. Yes. Oh, let's go to probably, yeah, this is better. So I will just say Grommet. Maybe I'm going to show that not in full mode for now. Yeah. So let's just say designer.grommet.io. So that is the website you should go to. Good. And we can simply just go back to full mode if we want. So I'm going to start a new project. So let's call it, for example, student portfolio, whatever you want to call it. I will just say my portfolio, for example. It's totally up to you. I can choose like a theme, like we have HPE theme we'll be using in this workshop. And I can just simply start with a blank design and just create my design. So I'll be starting with from the scratch. And then going back to what I told you, the UI, I always try to, if you like, I would say scaffold my UI. So let's quickly go back, right? So probably, I think I have that here. Yes, so I have that here. So let's go back to the UI and let's quickly do some kind of like a plan. This can be like the header section, right? And this is like the main content and this is the footer. So let's start from the top, then we'll work our way down. So let me go back there. So I can have like a root, if you call it like a root container. So yeah, before that, let me quickly take you through. Grommet Designer has of course, the main content, and then the right part, which is for example, if I select the component, I can see some properties where I can actually customize. And as I go also, I'll be explaining more attribute because it's pretty empty now. So let's go forward. So let me put the root container again, and that's going to be like a box. And as you see now that I put a box, I have different properties. I can call it maybe root container if you want. And that's kind of just make your life really easy. As you can see, I can see now this is the root. So I have different properties, flex and all this kind of stuff. So let's go forward. Now let's start with the header. So I can of course use box again, but I mean, we want a semantic, HTML. So Grommet also support this out of the box. So you can use what we call header. And there's a property you can put here as a field. So it's going to completely fill the whole field. And let's just put probably some sort of I would say padding here, right? That makes sense. Yeah. So then the other part we want to build now on the mockup again is that I want to build the logo part, right? So I'm going to create something called like a logo box. So and there we can use like a box for that. Yeah. And I can simply put like an icon inside that. So let's put an icon and we can quickly go and just name this as a logo box, right? That makes it a bit easier. And the icon here, we just want to use home, right? And the last one. And that will be extra large, I believe. Yeah. And we can also change the color to brand. So you have all these beautiful like properties to quickly just get things started and just keep moving at speed. So now we have that. Then the next thing we want to put like a, for example, I can say my portfolio, for example. So I can have another, because it's like a tool thing, I can have another box inside there. Inside the logo box and just say box again. And I can just quickly go and just put like a text inside there. So, and the text, for example, this one can be like a student portfolio, for example, and that will be bold. That will be bold, and the color will also be, I think, strong, if I remember correctly, right? Yeah, text strong. Yeah, good. So we get that out of the way. Then the next thing also there is, for example, we can put here portfolio. Sorry, we can put here text, another text that I'm going to call portfolio. So I'm just going to call this one portfolio text and portfolio, right? Good. There, if you see now, this two has to be like a flex direction, should be a row, right? And we can put like a very small gap in between them, maybe extra small. That is good. So let's update this one. This also should be student because that's the actual text that shows. Good. But we want the three of them to be on the same. So we can just quickly come here and say row again, right? And we can put like a little bit gap as well. Maybe I would say small. Yeah. It's looking good to me at least. So the next thing we want to do now is the right side. So I'm done with the logo box. So let's go back to the header. And you see now you have to select the right component so that you can nest the additional component inside it. So yeah, so you see, I can close this one. So the right part here, I'm going to use also like for the avatar with my initial, and also use like a box. And that's a bit different. So we want to put a background there. We want to put a height. So you're not going to see the height. So you have to like select the advanced, then you can see the height information. And that will be like an extra small. Yeah, extra small. So for the width, right? Then I want it to be fully round. So I'm going to say around full, right? Great. Then I want the background. There I can say background contrast, right? So contrast, yes, contrast. Yes, this is good. So I'm happy with that. Then inside there, I can put like a text, right? And from there, let's just call it like, and put my initial here, right? So if you like, you can put whatever you like there. And this is, I mean, this is looking good so far to me, at least. Good. So I would say we have a very good, I mean, a good header now that we can easily work with. Am I missing something? I think, yeah, everything is looking good so far to me, I believe. So yeah, looking good. So let's go back to our application, what we are trying to mock up. So the next thing now is just for us to build the main content. And we actually have, I would say we have a very good solution for that. I mean, an already prepared component by Grommet. So let me quickly make my life a bit easier. So we can just move things next to each other. Yep, good. So yeah, let's continue. So let's close the old header component and go back to the root container and use what we call card, right? You can, of course, if you like, use a box, but then you have to do a lot of styling. And that's why you're using Grommet in the first place, because a lot of common repeated patterns are already taken care of, and that can actually streamline your development, right? As we said as the title of the workshop. So I have my card there, and for the card, still selecting card now. I have different information here. For example, I can say card header, I can say card body, card footer. I mean, like if you want, you can also use a box, then, create your back arrow and stuff. But since we have the header, I mean, a lot of things have been taken care of for us. So we can simply put the card there, and inside there, let's put like the card header, let's put a button here. And that's going to there won't be any text there. So we want an icon. I can say previous. Let's choose the last one, right? And it's going to be like a primary. Yeah. So you see, the button has a bunch of different properties that you can easily tap in and just make your life very easy. So we have that already sorted. And the next thing, going back to the card, is to put a card body, right? Which is like the main contents in the card. So I'm going to call that card body. And going back, card body is just containing the avatar, containing my name, position, title, and the description. Then, of course, some other footer right there. So let's focus first on the card body. If I come inside here, selecting my card body, I have my avatar, right? As we have analyzed now. And I think I'll quickly copy over that, the link to my image. So let's copy that over here. And then, yeah, that's on my second screen. So I'm gonna have that one here. Yeah, great. So I think that one is showing up. And then let's select maybe large. Yeah, that's good. And the next thing is to put my name, right? So let me go there quickly. I can just put like, of course, for the name, I think heading is better because that's like the main thing is more semantic. And that's going to be like my name. That's my full name. Of course, you have to customize it to your own, and that will just be name. So we are making like a story here, right? A story that has a header, then the main content, and everything is looking very beautiful. And then the next thing is just to put like our title, if you like. So I think I can simply use like a text for that, which is like simply like a span, if you like. So I'm just gonna call that like a title. So that's the title. And of course, he's an experienced design engineer. Yep, looking good to me. And if you notice, we have a little bit like too much padding here. I can quickly come here and say margin varied bottom small. Yeah, looking good to me. And the last one is probably some description about myself. So let's use a paragraph for that. And this workshop also give you like exposure to different available components. And as you can see so far, we've been using different kind of components just in a very short amount of time. So you can better understand the ecosystem of Grommet and what is available. So let me just copy that over. Yeah, I have that there, and that can just be titled as a description. Yeah, as the name of the component, as we title it. Yeah, that's looking good to me. However, things are not like the way it's supposed to be. So we can go back to our card body and go here and say that we want things to be probably center, right? We can say center here for the card body, right? Then I can probably put some padding. Yeah, things are looking good to me now. And then if you look at the paragraph, still not in the center, so we can just come here and say text align center. And voila, that's what we have. Looking good to me. And then the last thing is for the card section, at least, is going to be the card, let's say card footer. Yeah, looking good to me. And then the card footer is supposed to just have a portfolio, like, some call to action buttons. So I would rather just quickly put that up quickly and just call that like two buttons inside there. So another component again, right? And then that can be portfolio if you like. So let's give that a portfolio. I can just call it portfolio here, but remember that is just the name we'll call it here. It's not going to change. If you want to change that, there's a call label. So just go here for the portfolio. Then we want it to be type. If you see now, we have this property called primary, right? Just like we did here. And the next one is to have another button here called contact me. And I'm going to show you a very quick, really cool trick here that Grommet Designer has. So just click on the component and just click on this double duplicate. And there you have it. And this is not going to be primary. I can just call that contact me, right? And I can also call this contact me. Yeah, looking good to me. But then it's not, yeah, something still has to be done. So let me go back and just say center. So I'm going to just say center, and there we go. But then card is looking really good, but you see now we need probably some little bit more padding here and there. So let me quickly go back to the entire card itself, and I can just give it like a maybe medium padding. Yeah, that's looking good to me. And if you go back to this, that has some extra padding that we don't need. So let's go back to the, in this case, I would just say varied. And that is looking really good. So, I mean, I just make it undefined padding for the card header. And that is looking good to me, at least. So we are done with this. What is the last part for this UI mockup is like the footer section. And of course, Grommet also has already taken care of that for us, and everything is looking really fast and really nice for us, streamlining our development experience. So let me just go back here to the root, of course, and I'm going to call it footer, right? Because you want a semantic, UI that has meaning in the browser. And it's just not full now. The trick we have here, fill horizontal, right? Then we can put probably some medium padding, I believe is good. And then we want like two sections. One is the copyright text and this section. So let me go back and put inside the footer. I'm going to call it like a text. And I can quickly copy that over as well, just to make our development even faster. So I'm going to put here, yeah, and that will be copyright text, right? Good. So I have that there. And then the last part is, let's use like a box to group our, different buttons that we have here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons, right? So you go inside here, you can just call that like a button, right? So here, we're going to use like a plain button, right? True. You see that just make things looking more like a beautiful. And the label here is going to be terms, right? And the same trick I showed you earlier, just go back here and, yeah, there we go. But of course, like we have to make everything to look even like a nice in row, and some gap can be like, let's put like a medium gap. Yep, looking good to me, looking good. And then, yeah, maybe we can probably reduce, maybe small, should be good. Yeah, that is good to me. And the next one is security, privacy, and feedback. So let's quickly update it. So this one will be security, right? And that would be privacy and the feedback, right? There we go. So we have everything now looking beautiful, but something is still a bit off, as we see. I mean, maybe in the full one is not there. I mean, I don't want everything to just stack up on top of each other like this. We want a very beautiful, like, white spacing, very important. So just go back to your root component, and we have something called, I'll show you here. So I can put here like, yeah, you can see, justify, you have this between, and then you can have this field to be vertical, I believe. And there we go. And that's looking, more beautiful and even more spacious. And everything looks really good to me. And as you see, within 5, 10, 15 minutes max, we've been able to bring up, I mean, a very beautiful, consistent UI using Grommet Designer that is powered by Grommet components. I think we should probably be good with everything, so we can always do like a last check. If you want, you can rename and make things even more beautiful as you want. So I can call this like footer links if you want, right? So you have this possibility to do all this really beautiful naming. And we have the card here. Yeah, everything is very semantic and meaningful here. We don't have to touch anything there. And there you go. So you have everything. And if you want, you can call this avatar box, or you say like, yeah, avatar box if you want. Yeah. Oh, sorry, that was the that was the logo. Yeah, logo title or logo name if you want. And this is probably the avatar box. Yes. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. And I believe now we are done with the with the workshop level 2, the lab 2. And all the, each step by step is given here. So you can just like follow through. For some places we use boxes and stuff, but then of course, I think with this, you have like a really nice streamlined development experience. So the next thing is for us to go to the other, beautiful thing around Grommet Designer itself. For example, how we are going to generate our code, how we are going to see even, more very powerful tools or whatever that Grommet Designer gives us. So part of it is like we discussing theme, which I've already shown earlier. So let's go back. If you go back here, you have all these configure, preview, publish, and all those stuff. And yeah, so for example, I can preview. See, and that gives me what I have here. And that also has a command and dot or control dot, and it also toggle it. And then we have publish, we have export, we can duplicate, we can generate code, right? And then I think configuration, that's what gives you all these themes and stuff like that. But of course, we want to use HPE theme, so we're not going to change it. And what else is there? We have, of course, help information that takes you to documentation. You can close, you can delete, and do all sort of things that you want. But the next reasonable step for us is to generate the code, right? So I can just simply say generate code. So I have everything here. Let me just copy it to my clipboard. Yep, that's looking good to me. And after that, I think we can easily move to the next. And of course, also you can put a dark theme if you want. And I can quickly just show that. So if you go here, you have to close first. And at the bottom, there's this like change setting. Then you can click on dark and light and stuff like that. Yeah, that's where that is. Let me just go back to my design. Everything is looking good. And we go to lab 3, right? So the purpose of lab 3 is for us to have our code that has been generated and, build it, do things, and start preparing for deployments. So first of all, it's good that you have Node, and of course, NPM comes naturally with Node setup on your device. So we are going to quickly check that and spin up like a new React app using create React app command. And with that, you should be good and, up to speed. So let me go back here. I have yes, I have this already. So let's check node-v, yeah. Plus, of course, also npm-v. And since we have this, that makes our life super easy. So what can we do? We can quickly use this command, nps create react app, right? I think this is visible enough, hopefully. Yep. And if you like, I can call it my portfolio. Yes. And that will just take a few seconds and it should be up and running soon. Yeah, sometimes that could take a while. We can wait a little bit more for it. Okay, interesting. I don't know why it took a while today, but probably it's doing something. Yeah, good, good. You're almost there. Just a little bit more patience is required. And there we go. So once you see these npm start and stuff, you are good. So what can we do next is for us to spin up from our local development. Of course, you can use V or editor and stuff like that, but I would recommend you install Visual Studio Code in case you don't have it. So I'm going to use my Visual Studio Code. I would just say we call it my portfolio, right? And that would just be this, yes. And what that has spin it up and everything is looking good to me. So let's go to our SRC and app.js. Yeah, if you remember, we actually copied all the code earlier, and this one, of course, you just have to quickly do something here. Spot const app, then I can remove this one. Then maybe export default if you want. Export default. just some ESLint stuff. Now everything is looking good. So let's try to run npm start and see what happened. It will not be happy because we have to install more packages, I believe, and that is like, yeah, good. So it cannot find all these. So let's quickly install them. So that will be Grommet icons and also Grommet HPE, and of course Grommet itself. So let's close this and say npm install Grommet, right? Grommet icons and Grommet theme HPE, since that's how we develop for our theme in the application. So I'm going to put also the last one. After all this one is installed, we should be up and running. Good. So let's rerun our command again. And hopefully we should be up and running. Yeah, and there we go. Now we have it running. Congratulations, you made it this far and you're almost ready for deployment in Netlify. And just to quickly show you also, I can show you that we are actually running from local, right? We have local host 3000 there, right? So what is the next step? The next step now is just to quickly, set up our development environment and just get up to speed, right? So we finished lab 3. Yeah, we're in business. Yeah. So before we go to development, to the deployment in Netlify, let's try to set up our GitHub where we can push our code and then we can retrieve it using Netlify, very beautiful system, and just push it there. Some sort of like a continuous integration pipeline, if you like. So I think I have here already. Just go to your GitHub and just go there, create, like I'll call it my portfolio. Right, so it's just say my portfolio with Grommet designer. Yeah, you don't have to put that if you don't want portfolios. Yeah, so I have that, make it public and create. You can make it private if you want, but yeah. Then we can quickly do all these commit and just, get to speed. I will just copy, maybe from this one, right? Or maybe from here. Yeah, let's just copy that. And I will go again to my code. Yeah, there we have it. So let's open a new terminal. And you see we have some changes that we have to commit. So the status, yeah, git add everything, git commit, portfolio v1, yeah. And then we paste what we copied, creating a new branch and pushing it to GitHub. Good. I think now we should have that there. And just roll this one up. There we have it, right? So now that we have this one running and everything is looking good, our code is here. And this is my commit message. So we can just quickly go to Netlify. So if I go back to my Netlify, let me go back to Netlify. Yes, so this is Netlify, right? You go there, you said you want to like create a new deployment. So I'm going to search now. That would be portfolio, we call it, right? As in my portfolio, I'm trying to remember now. This is 2 months ago. So what did I call it? So I think I will try to just look at the name again. So that because we have to deploy the correct one. Okay, it's my portfolio. Sometimes it could take some time for it to like populate. So let's just try again. Yeah, I think we might need to probably use another name just to be safe, because I think this is like an old one that I deployed earlier. So yeah, I wonder why GitHub allowed me to open it in the first place. So I'll quickly just create like a new repository here, new repo. So I'll say portfolio 2, just to make it like a very, distinct. My portfolio with Grommet Designer, yeah. And I can just quickly push this again. So let's remove that. So I'll quickly remove this one. So I think I need to remove. Yeah, git remove, I call it also. Hopefully now that should be good. Yeah, so it's cleared. So I can then try to set it again. Good. So we have our origin set now, and hopefully this should be working. Now, good. So let's go back to our Netlify quickly. And then we can reload again from GitHub, authentication, authorized, of course. So we call it portfolio 2, right? Portfolio 2. Yes, now we have it just now. So we are selecting the right one, or we can call it student portfolio X2. Yeah, because we have to check the availability. Yeah, good. Our site name is available. We're going to be deploying on the main branch. And yeah, I think everything is looking good to me. So deploy. So this could take some few seconds also, but you can see it's building and everything hopefully should go well. Fine, I believe. So yeah, we're done with this. I mean, we're going also to lab 4 now, which we've already done some part of it with Netlify, I believe. Yeah, I've logged in, of course, definitely. This is what I was doing. And once the build is ready, then you can have like a link that you can test in a browser. And that's what we are waiting for now, right? Good. Now our website is published. And as you can see, we have student, just like what we call it. So let me click on that so that it can be open in a new tab. And voila, you have it there, right? Beautiful, fast, responsive, and enterprise level application. And then there we have it. So let me quickly go back to lab and for us to just reflect what has happened so far. And congratulations, you made it this far. So in conclusion, we have understood what Grommet is all about, why we use it, and also the ecosystem, for example, using Grommet Designer, we've been able to generate code from Grommet Designer, put it on our local development, set it up, and then also push it to GitHub, and then eventually deploy it in Netlify. And a huge congratulations to yourself that you've made it this far. And then final step, very important, please remember to fill out our survey so that you can tell us how we can, give us some really good feedback, and also tell us how we can further improve this workshop and even give you a better user and developer experience. And thank you so much. And before you go, remember to go to File and then log out. And that's what I have. And thank you very much for, joining me in this workshop, and see you soon. Thank you.